Hi, my name is Greg Beckett, Motivational Hypnotist, and this is another episode of Time to Get Unstuck. I want to take a moment. We're going to have today with us Cheri Baumann, but before we get to all of that and this wonderful episode, I want to talk a moment about Hypnothoughts Live 2019. They're sponsoring us, and it's a really incredible place to go learn more about yourself as a hypnotist or someone that wants to learn hypnosis. It's a wonderful place to expand your tools for your toolbox as a hypnotist or even as a person in life. And I think, Cheri, you've been there because I saw you there. We've done several conferences together. So maybe if you have a second or you have an idea, you can tell them why you think Hypnothoughts Live is a cool place.
Well, I travelled all the way from Australia to go to Hypnothoughts because I just knew that it was the best conference in the world. If you really are serious about developing yourself and developing your skills, then I don't think there's anywhere else in the world like it. There's no other conference as great as Hypnothoughts. And one year I was very privileged to be one of the presenters. And of course, you get to meet fantastic people like Greg, and you, fantastic people like you. Yeah. And you know, it really is. It is not only the courses that you learn, but it's the interaction with other hypnotists that you're able to share and learn with each other. And it honestly is the best place to go.
Yeah, thanks. I agree. And I've made not just collegial friends, but good-hearted friends such as Cheri and some of her family that I've met and everything. And it gives you an opportunity to expand your circle of colleagues that when you have challenges and things, you can reach out, hey, what should I do? Or how do we work this? Or let's do a group together and let's, all sorts of stuff. So if you have the opportunity, you want more information, you can click below. And I believe you type in Hypnothoughts or Hypnothoughts Live. I'm sure something will pop up and tell you what to type in so you can get some more information and give it a go.
Yeah,
see how you like it.
Very social and supportive environment, isn't it, Greg?
It is. And we say people from all over the world come, and that's the truth because Cheri came from Australia, and there's some people that come from Dubai, like Beryl, or other people from all over the world. So
UK,
Asia. Yep. So as some of you may or may not know, Time to Get Unstuck is really about a show about change and moving forward. And the premise is that for my journey, and also those of many clients and friends that I know, there's certain words that always pop up within that journey and that journey of change. And so I pick a word, and then we have a guest come, and we start with that word to see where it leads us. So we have Cheri Baumann, who's an entrepreneur, and she believes in that you should live a life you love. And her word that we're going to talk about is willingness.
That's right. That's right. I believe everyone should be able to live a life they love. So for me, willingness actually means your why. Why do you want to live a life you love? What are the things that light you up, that make you passionate about life? And I think if you've got that why, that desire, then you are willing to get off I call it the comfort zone sofa. You're willing to get off that sofa and actually change your life.
So when I'm hearing what you're saying, and I can agree with you. I'm just kind of curious because in my head I go, your goal, is that true? Or when you say what you desire, it's like you're trying to create a lifestyle, being willing to take the effort.
Yeah, I think for most of us, we stay in the sameness because it feels safe, and we don't actually have to put ourselves out there in any way. So it's easy just to keep, plodding along. And even though you feel as though, there's an emptiness or there's something missing in your life, a lot of people still aren't willing to make that change because it's scary.
It is scary. And we know each other a little bit, and we know that we've been through challenges in life, right? Absolutely. And I think something, and you can agree or disagree. I am totally open to it. It's who we are, right, as friends and stuff. But I think there's always it has to be willingness to adventure.
That's right.
Adventure of life, going through fear, actually, and going, and maybe it's not exactly right. Let's say you're here and you want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
The willingness to open up to challenges, opportunity, pain, joy, again, fear, all of that to get here, right?
So that reward up there has to be something significant or important to you. And I think one of the things that I've been doing in my Facebook group is the book The Magic by Rhonda Byrne. And it's a 28-day practice on gratitude. And what I loved about that was that you shift your focus from all the things that you don't have in your life to all the things that you're grateful for that you do have, or that is coming to you, that that you want in your life. And so when you start to focus on the things, the things that light you up, that you want in your life, you get clearer and clearer about what it is that you do want in your life. In fact, in the book, she talks about creating a dream list. And I think that's a great idea, because sometimes, and I don't know about you, Greg, with clients, but I've had so many people who go, well, I don't really know what I do want in life.
But they know what they don't want.
That's right.
Right. They know what they don't want. And then I always say, flip it.
Yeah.
And they're like, huh? I say, flip it. And they stop and I say, okay, what don't you want? For an example, I don't want to work there anymore. Okay, where do you want to work? What do you want to do? I don't know. Okay, that's where we have to start, right?
Yes,
to have
exactly.
that desire or know where to go to build steam to get you to where you want to go. Because the more, what we're really talking about a bit about a law of attraction.
That's right.
That if you're always thinking about what you don't want, right? Then it's giving focus. And here's something really quick that if you're going for what you don't want, like I don't want, I don't want to work this job. I don't want to work this job. I don't want to work this job. You're talking about this job, this job, this job. And the universe, this is my viewpoint, brings it to you because you're putting focus on it to have you have to show up with faith to move through it, to break through it, right? Instead of doing it, and that's sort of the hard way a bit, right? Instead of I don't want to do that, I want to do this. So it's not that you ignore it, you just put it in the back seat. What you want is the front seat, and then it's easier to go towards what you want than to have to go through that fear of what you don't want.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is to really connect to yourself, because a lot of people look for the answers outside of themselves, and a really great hypnotherapist like yourself is going to allow them to dip into what is within and connect to that and allow them to feel stronger and stronger about what they want. You're not going to you're not going to be told, well, look, go and buy the paper, or these days say online, go online, 3 columns down, 3rd on the right, that's your job. That's the job you're going to love. That's not how it works. So, the answers are within.
Right.
And that's what's going to give you your joy, because everyone's so unique. And what lights me up isn't necessarily going to light you up. And that's the thing that I think is really significant, is to get stronger and stronger about what it is that you want, so that passion, that thing that lights you up, is what you showed before, is that's the motivation to take you from what you're doing now to where you really want to go. Would you agree, Greg?
I would, and I was going to ask you, would you think that willingness and building trust in yourself actually goes hand in hand?
Absolutely.
Like, the willingness to, sometimes I see I've had kids of friends and neighbors and nieces and nephews and just people in general, even clients, they take a class, right? And they join this class that they're going to take to learn something, and they're embarrassed to go at times because they don't already know the answers.
That's right.
Right? Oh, I'm supposed to know the answer. Why are you taking the class? Why do you take the class? So, but if you're willing to show up and willing to not know something and willing to taste a little bit of this information and try a little bit of that information to then build to what you really like, right?
Absolutely. And I think, you know, over the years, because I've had anxiety, I've worked a lot with anxious people. You know, I've attracted a lot of anxiety patients, clients. And the thing is that what I worked out over time was that feeling anxious or having anxiety is actually, you may as well say self-doubt, is the fear that you're not going to be able to cope with or manage with what might come your way, which really boils down to you don't have the trust or faith in yourself.
Or your higher power, whatever it is you believe, right?
That's right, to be able to manage what might come to you. And, you know, I love the fact that as we're talking, I can see in my mind, you know, clay, we're work in progress. And we're not meant to be perfect. And we're exactly what you said. We're meant to, you know, to take parts of what we see and develop ourselves. We didn't arrive in the world as the perfect model, you know?
Right.
That's what we're here for, to develop ourselves. And how do we learn? We actually learn through contrast often about what we don't want. We start to realize what we do want, just what you were saying before, Greg.
Right. And you know, you were mentioning that at a time that you had some anxiety and all that kind of stuff. And that's when I met you, actually.
That's right.
And I can see how far that you have come, because you took a lot of risk. You were willing to risk that fear or that tension, let's call it, right? Because I don't like, you know, tension, let's call it, right? To go across the world, to go to classes, or to go to conferences, to meet people. And you learn through all of that by taking that willingness to risk all of that, to grow into somebody that now travels and does all sorts of stuff with freedom.
That's right. And you may remember, Greg, but one of my biggest fears was flying. So
that's what I'm alluding to.
That's right. All the way over to the States to attend classes where I didn't know anyone. But I knew that, see, this is what I talk about. My desire was greater than the fear or the tension or whatever else you want, because my belief is that we can't stay the same. You know, it's just not, there's no alternative.
There was a thought that I had, and I don't think I mentioned it to you, but I've mentioned it around a little bit, was we're looking for consistency in a world of change.
That's right.
But the real consistency is in us to manage the change that's always going on, because we've just had a conversation and I heard something a little bit different, so I'm now changed, or you might have heard something different. So there's constant change, but the consistency can be within ourselves, which is then you could call it confidence or whatever, to be able to know that you can handle things. Because that whole thing about you're talking about not being able to handle the future or cope is, if people have a big sadness or depression, usually they're living in the past, right?
That's right.
And if they're anxiety or stressed out, they're living in the future, not knowing if they can handle what's coming. And if you stay present and knowing that it's coming towards you, but every time something pops up, you always handle it anyway.
That's right.
One way or another. And not looking at it as a good or a bad, but looking at it as, okay, I'm going to make a choice. And from that choice, I can make another choice into a different direction, or one that feels better.
That's right.
And I think,
in fact, the security is within.
Right, exactly. And then I think people forget, or they don't realize. I had someone that I knew very well that didn't ever want anyone to feel pain. They'd do anything to not hurt someone's feelings, they didn't want to feel it, and they didn't want anybody else to feel it. And I said, oh, that's really interesting, because you're telling me you don't want them to change or grow.
That's right.
You're afraid to change or grow, and you think they're the same way, because it's out of that pain that it forces us, or out of that challenge, let's say, that forces us to move forward and be willing, because it's forcing that willingness, kicking and screaming, right? Because
right. And I still just think that the big part about willing is to really want what's on the other side of the fence. You may as well say, you know, that I call it your why. For example, for me, as I'm getting closer and closer to retirement or retirement age, I don't want to retire, but as I get closer and closer to that, I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be saving up for a toaster. I don't want to have financial difficulty. So for me, that desire to still have a life I love is powerful. And for that reason, I continue to develop myself and develop my business.
Well, let me ask you. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, so I was just going to say, so that to me, that why is very powerful.
Now, do you feel like someone could start with the willingness to not want something?
Absolutely.
To move them forward, to then learning to willingness to pull forward to something they do want.
Yeah, well, that's pretty well what I've just said.
That's kind of like what everybody does, because we don't grow up. They don't grow up teaching us to move. They say, oh, have goals and stuff, but there's not an explanation of how the energy works of our thoughts, right? People talk about The Secret and all those wonderful books, and it says, you know, to put pictures and stuff, but really it's about the intention and moving towards, not that you're just going to put a picture up and then forget about it and it's all, you know, it's about having that movement and having the determination. And what are you willing to do to get? What fears and what challenges and what joys are you willing to take on?
Yeah, and also, Greg, I think our feelings, you know, our feelings are magnetic, so it's what we give off. So we really have to, you know, we have to really feel what we do want to attract that. It's a very powerful energy.
We're also talking about being present and consistent and all that kind of stuff. When other powers that may be, all they want us to do is be on our iPhone and distracted, or video games or whatever it is. Because just think, this is a real odd thought. Well, not an odd thought. This is a thought that just came into my head. If everybody chose to pay attention to themselves and to take all of that energy for themselves instead of giving it away constantly, it's limitless.
Absolutely.
Who we are. I mean, I'm just sitting here going pop, 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 pop in my head while we're talking. Not that I don't know this, right? But to think of it in a grand scale, as many people do, and I usually sometimes go, yeah, but everybody's not going to do it. But what if they did?
Yeah.
What if we did? What if we made choices and we're willing to put down something that we think is pleasurable, but there's something even more pleasurable on the other side of the willingness and the effort.
And I think that's the thing. When we really feel something that is important to us, then we will have the willingness to move towards it.
Hey, yeah. We're sitting in front of cameras across the world from each other talking about something that evidently is passionate, I know, to me and to you, or else we wouldn't be doing this. And who would have thought 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever, when we met, that we'd be doing this, right? But we have something to say or just to share with each other that maybe other people want to listen to, which is really cool, that maybe it helps someone else move just a little bit or ask a question.
And when I think about it, Greg, when we met all those years ago, to the people we are today, you know, we have transformed a lot of ourselves. And I think that's because we've both had the willingness to develop ourselves and to be of service to others. And that's allowed us to be where we are today. Yeah, I think I think about myself 6 or 7 years ago, and I think if you would have asked me, will I do this interview, I would have said, maybe another time.
Well, guess what? Maybe another time, because we're out of time. But we have a minute. And what I wanted to do, first of all, thank you so much. I enjoyed spending time with you as we do when we're in person and stuff.
That's right.
Just where, if people want to contact you, what's the best way for them to reach you? What would be?
Well, I do a lot of my work on Facebook now. I don't actually have a website, but if you were to type in I am CheriBaumann.com, it would take you to my Facebook page, which is Cheri Baumann. And I also have a group, Live a Life You Love, and I do a lot of work within that group as well, because, you know, I want people to have a life they love, and I believe that we're here for that reason. It's not meant to be difficult. Like you said, we're meant to just move through and develop ourselves and have the awareness and love life.
Cool, thank you. And I think it's all going to be at the end. That'll all be typed up and you can see it. And for me, it's Facebook, Greg Beckett, and also Greg at hypnosisla.com. I want to take a moment to again thank HypnoThoughts 2019 for supporting us and supporting this show. And there'll be information for you to type in to get more information. It's all about information, I think.
And awareness.
And what did you say?
Awareness.
And willingness.
And willingness. I was going to say, and have the willingness to be open to learning.
Information.
Having awareness. That's right.
Thanks again, Cheri. Thank you, everybody, for
My
watching.
pleasure.
And until next time, have a great and fabulous and willing day.
Thanks for the connection. Great to see you all. Bye.